Hey guys, welcome to Friday's Read Aloud. Ooh, I can't wait to get back into this book. I absolutely love Origami Yoda. So, remember, we heard Tommy's story, and I asked you to respond about it, where he got advice about asking Hannah out, and Yoda's advice was that only fools rush in, right? And it turned out um, that Mark here, the really tall guy, came in and actually kissed Hannah right as Tommy was about to ask her. So it turned out to be great advice. And we're wondering if you believe with Harvey that Yoda is not real, or you're kind of on Tommy's side and you think maybe there's something magical going on. All right. So then our next story is Origami Yoda and the Embarrassing Stain. And I know AM Pod, you already heard the first part of this. It's just a couple pages and we'll be caught up in a minute or two. Okay? Origami Yoda and the Embarrassing Stain. All right. This is Kellen here. Tommy asked me to write down what happened with Origami Yoda, but I hate to write things down. That's too much like homework. Having to write a bunch of stuff down and make complete sentences and all that, I'm like, no thanks, dude. So I'm just gonna record it on this recording thing and let Tommy write it down. So I guess he can edit out where I say and stuff like that. So Kellen's just speaking into a tape recorder, and then Tommy's the one who typed the story. Oh, I love it. What happened to me was this. I was in the bathroom right before school was about to start, and I saw that someone, probably Harvey, had written Kellen drinks pee on the wall right over the sink. So I leaned across the sink to erase it. And I had on these light brown pants, and they got all wet right in front of my pants. It seriously looked like I had peed in my pants. Really bad. I tried to cover it with my shirt, but it was that really shrimpy shirt of mine with Scooby-Doo on it, and it wasn't long enough to cover the pee part, which wasn't really pee, of course. Lance was in there too. Dude, he said, that doesn't even begin to hide your pee stain. Lance, you saw that this isn't a pee stain, right? It's just water from the sink. Yeah, I saw that, man. It totally looks like you peed in your pants. But you'll tell people the truth, right? What am I supposed to do? Follow you around and tell people? It's not pee, it just looks exactly like pee. Then the warning bell rang for homeroom. That meant I had 1 minute to get to class. There was no way I could get the pants dry in 1 minute. And there was no way I could go to class with the giant pee stain, which really wasn't pee. For one thing, Harvey is in my homeroom, and you know he's a total dipwad about stuff like that, and he would say something loud, and everybody would see it, even people who don't normally look at me. Even worse, Rondella is there too. And the last thing in the world I need is for Rondella to see me with a pee stain, which isn't really pee, you know? Then I had an idea. Hey, Lance, will you run to class and get my coat? I think it's long enough to hide the spot. No time, dude. I'd never make it back here and then back to class in 1 minute. Speaking of which, I got to get to class now, dude. You got about 40 seconds left. See ya, Kellen. So Lance left. Thanks, Lance. Right now you might be thinking, so what? Just show up to homeroom a little late. Great idea. Except for various reasons, I've shown up a little late about 20 times this year. And Mr. Howell said the next time it happened, I'd have to spend the rest of the day in ISS. That's in school suspension. And it's more boring than anything you could imagine. Plus, every time I get sent there, Principal Rabsky sends a note home to my parents, and I lose my PlayStation for 2 weeks. So I had to get the pants dry in 40 seconds, except for the fact it was physically impossible to do that. Then Dwight came out of one of the stalls. It seems like he's in the bathroom every single time I go in there. Look at my pants, Dwight. You got any ideas? I'm getting the idea that you peed your pants? No, I didn't. And I meant, do you have any ideas that would help me? No, he said, and he held up Origami Yoda, which was on his finger. But Yoda might. Whatever, I said. Then Dwight did his stupid Yoda voice, which Harvey is right about being totally the worst Yoda impression of all time. I do it a lot better. But anyway, Yoda said, Olive pants you must wet. Olive pants you must wet. What? I guess, said Dwight in his normal voice, he means you need to make all of your pants wet so it doesn't look like a pee stain anymore. Then he left for class too. I turned on the water and I splashed myself all over. I mean, my pants and my shirt too. Then I ran to class and got there just before Mr. Howell was shutting the door. Should I even ask you why you're all wet, Kellen? Said Mr. Howell. Nope, I said and sat down real quick. He was skeptical, but he went ahead and took roll. After homeroom, I had PE, so I was able to switch to my sweatpants for the rest of the day. Everybody wondered why I was wet, and sure, it was cold and uncomfortable for a while. But the important thing is that I didn't get sent to the office. I didn't lose my PlayStation for 2 weeks, and nobody, including Rondella, thought I had peed in my pants. That's when I knew Origami Yoda is for real, man. He's totally Jedi wise. And now here's Harvey's comment. I love the picture. Wise. What a bunch of malarkey. If Paper Wad Yoda was real, which he isn't, surely it could come up with something better than going to class and soaking wet pants. The real Yoda would have dried them with his mind or something. Also, I have to point out that according to Kellen's story, Dwight walked out of a bathroom stall with Paper Wad Yoda on his finger. That's just gross. My comment. I agree that the solution was not perfect, but it's better than anything I can think of. Remember that Kellen only had a few seconds left. I think it was pretty good advice, and probably better than anything Dwight would have come up with. That's what blows my mind. Dwight can barely function, dude. He can't solve any problems. He walks around school with his shoes untied and his hair uncombed. He is always getting terrible grades and getting sent to the office for being late or falling asleep in class or whatever. And he does come to class with weird stains on his clothes. If you asked his advice, it would be terrible. But if you ask him for Yoda's advice, you get something great. That's how come I think Origami Yoda might be for real. For instance, this next story is about softball. The two worst softball players in our PE class. And maybe in the whole world, they are Dwight and Mike. So how come Yoda/Dwight was able to give Mike such great advice? Ever notice how much Mr. Howell looks like Jabba the Hutt?